Hi, everyone. This is Jackie Cooper with CryptoMom2, Love Travels Scotland, and J. Cooper Travels. And I want to welcome everyone to this episode. Definitely remind you to like and subscribe. We are doing a series of conversations about artificial intelligence on the blockchain, and we would like to have you stay current on all that we are chatting about. So definitely subscribe. The topic today is all about digital identity. Before I bounce over to my guest, I will chat with you about my background. So for those that are new to my channel, you will have a little bit more understanding as to why I came to this space. I am both an educator as well as an attorney, but I am also an entrepreneur, and I know we were talking before we got onto the recording about how when we're navigating within our online presence for personal or business, we're constantly going to websites, we're constantly clicking on terms and conditions. And what we think of as our digital identity, our personal identity, has moved from paper to online now. And it's very trackable and traceable. And so there really needs to be an open discussion as to how do we protect that. So I am very excited to have Dr. Blockchain on, and she's going to explain a little bit more about her background. So for those that haven't heard our previous conversations, and if you happen to hear my dog in the background, just ignore. Anyway, Dr. Blockchain, how are you?
I'm good and happy to be back here and speak with you. Like always, it's a pleasure. So a little bit about myself. I'd like to keep it short. If people are not, if they, seen our sessions before, they probably know everything. So I try to keep it short. So keep it. I started, in tech. That was, high school, STEM, all of that. Went to college, got introduced to economics and finance, got very intrigued with everything that has to do with the social problems, because after all, economics sits within the social science. That's what people forget. And I always been like, kind of like I always call it, the non-conformist, the person who always wants to do good for their society and everything. So that was always in me. And once I got to know all of these problems, economic problems, social problems, I always thought about, okay, I have these skills, with this quantitative tech skills, how can technology help with all of these problems? One thing led to another. I'm not saying this is the only path. I decided to go for my PhD. This is what brought me to New York City. I got my PhD at NYU, Stern Business School. In finance, I started, as a quant, which is basically the science for finance. This is, why I have this background in AI and all of that, so you can understand. And one thing led to another again, kind of like got to that unexpectedly and accidentally. I stumbled on crypto while I was doing my research and work on FX. Cryptocurrency, trading pairs 24/7, very similar to FX. And I'm talking about, I don't know, like 7-8 years ago. I figured, the drivers that that impact FX didn't really impact cryptocurrency. That somewhat changed a little bit, not much. But in any event, I realized that there's technology behind it, and back to my roots. And voila, here I am now, back to everything that has to do with technology, from Web3, metaverse, AI, generative AI, IoT, and everything. And now all my thoughts are, okay, we have this great evolution of technology, and it's evolving exponentially. What can we do that to help and society, economy, and make our life better?
So I'm always blown away by your background because of
Thank you.
the research that you do and the quality of the writing that you do. And so again, we're going to be looking at one of the articles that you've written about digital identity. I know that we're doing a series of chats around what you're writing and what you're researching, because there's so much out there, and it's really important to have a conversation about how this impacts us. So with
Right.
digital identity, first, why don't we go ahead and just define what does it mean? Because again, everyone might have a different definition. And then we're going to talk about what's going on in our community and
Mhm.
challenges, like you said, and also the solutions.
Right, right. So, when people think about digital identity, they think, oh, I have a content. That's what they're thinking. But basically, digital identity is everything that you do on the internet. It's whether it's not just your web page, if you do have a web page, not just your link account or Facebook or anything like that. It's everything that you do. All your choices, can be put together in one wallet. I mean, hopefully, that's what I'm talking about, this decentralized identity, which is going to be my next article that we're going to talk about, which is basically you have it's all over the place now, today, right? You leave traces everywhere, and then people are saying, "Oh, I deleted it." No, you think that you deleted something on the internet, but nothing is deleted from the internet. I mean, and you know, uh, tech people can tell you that it's not really deleted. Everything can be bugged up, somehow, and so people have to, and people don't even think about everything that they do on the internet, and and suddenly, it's kind of a kind of backlash at them. People see a picture here and a photo there, and it just, out of, I don't know, excitement, they upload all kinds of photos and text, and they're constantly doing it, whether on the phone or on especially on the phone nowadays. People are like glued to their phone, and they don't even realize that everything that they put out there, every movement that they do is their identity, and it's either something that has to do with reputation, or remember when we see on media that this person said that, and and misrepresentations of things that they said, or put them out of context, or an image that they put there. So it's things that people don't understand, that whatever you have to be conscious of that. Not only that all of the information, whether you're going to Facebook or to Amazon, or all this information, now it is what I call decentralized, because it is in the hand of all of this, because our internet today is a centralized internet. I'm advocating, and you probably, hopefully you agree with me, for a decentralized type of internet. That's what Web3 is all about. But before we get there, if you think about it, now it's in the hand of all of these organizations, and we have to trust them that they will do right by us, so to speak, that they will protect our information, they will not use it inappropriately, or in a way it can damage us. And all the hacks that we hear today about, whether it's with medical institutions, that there was a month ago, there was a hack with a payment company that processes claims of health insurance. This is really alarming. All these claims have so much information, private information about you, not just Social Security, but your medical, because the claims, specifies exactly the medical issue that, or the test, and that's so private. I mean, if it falls to the wrong hands, that's really can hurt us, safety, and not just financially.
Would you like to explain more about the Digital Identity Act?
Okay, so Digital Identity Act, there was a committee in the Senate, in the House, that is all about safety and cyber security and all of that, and it passed. The committee passed that act, and the act supposed to it's about improving digital identity. And the whole idea is that and then now it has to go to the Senate, it has to get approved there, and we'll see what happens. But if it does get approved, then they will create like a task force, and this task force will think about how to create a digital identity that will protect our privacy, will secure that the data is not going to be in the wrong hands, and also give control to the citizens. So it's all about protecting the privacy and securing the information, and all in one place, because we know that now we have it in all kinds of governments, places, etc. So that's what the app's supposed to do. But just I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I had a conversation with there's another committee of the House, a subcommittee. It's the Commerce Committee has a subcommittee on technology and innovation, and they are also very much interested in everything that has to do with digital identity, because it's technology, and we know that and of course what are the solutions that can be done.
So tied to that though, and you and I have talked about this too, how does artificial intelligence impact our digital identity footprint? Because now that we're using the various chat box and things like that, how do we monitor, and how do we control our identity with the information that we're putting in? I mean, that's a whole nother area. So I see a paragraph in your article about that. So would you like to expand more on that?
Well, I mean, people are now very fascinated with ChatGPT, and we putting all kinds of questions and and things like that. All of this information, and I think we think that no one knows what we're asking. Yes, someone is collecting this information, and this information can go against you. I don't know. So whatever you asked, whatever you're asking for, whatever you are creating or trying to create, can be traced and can be used. And some people, there was someone, who told me, I don't know if it's right or not, but they were telling me that information that they used in ChatGPT or some similar, chatbot, that the companies that create the chatbot, are using this information, collecting that. So I don't know, or even kind of like, and someone was saying to me that they're even using it kind of like to impersonate that you did it, things that you did, because it can go wild, and you don't know, because you're just signing this terms of an agreement, and you probably know you're more of a legal person than I am, and you say yes, 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 because all free. Nothing is people are saying it's free. No, it's not free. You are basically paying with your data, paying with who you are on the internet.
So connected with that, but a little bit of an extension. Also in your article, you talk about the World Economic Forum and a discussion about individuals who lack legal identification. What should we know about that group of individuals and identification from that perspective?
Well, when we're talking about the World Economic Forum, and also, it's on the agenda of the UN, the United Nations, they put as one of their agenda is to, the digital identity is, in fact, I had a conversation with people in the United Nations, and they say this is one of the priorities that they put out there, digital identity, because there are a lot of people who don't have digital identity at all. They don't have like what we call social security number. They don't have anything to identify them, especially when we're talking about developing countries. Developing countries. And even within our developed country, we have people that don't have identity for all sorts of reasons, economic reasons, medical reasons. They just don't. And they can't get access to all the services. They can't get a bank account. They can't get help from the government. They just as if don't exist. And what if you have like refugees that, collocate from one place to another? They kind of have no type of, like with the Ukraine, what happened with Ukraine, there were a lot of, refugees. How are you going to help them? I mean, with no identity. So digital identity needs to be something that is more than just national. It has to be some kind of international, and something that can help people all over the world. So beyond, it goes even beyond, my Facebook account.
No, it definitely goes beyond the Facebook account. And I also am glad you brought up the terms and conditions, because again, we do click on them when we don't always read them, and then we don't realize what we've signed away as a result of that. So within your article, you talk about a lot of the problems. What are some of the solutions that you might recommend to individuals so that way they can think about protecting their identification, their digital ID?
So now, in fact, the good thing is that, there are a lot of organizations that are talking about the problems and also providing some solutions. At least solutions to that. And there are already governments that are working on experimental solutions, like Singapore. All of the. Do you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Oh.
I'm back.
Yes, you're back. You're back.
Okay, I thought I lost you. So if you think about it, they're already experimenting digital identity and creating a solution. And the solution is, and they were talking about, there was a survey, and they were talking to me, looking at all of this government experiments with the Singapore and the rest that I mentioned, and also the EU that has an act. In fact, the EU just about a couple of weeks ago, which was at the end of June, they approved the its use for the solutions of digital identity, what they call electronic ledger. In other words, all the DLT, the distributed ledger, technology and blockchain technology are approved as solutions for digital identity for the EU. So what, let's say Estonia and Catalonia are working on, that's something that can be approved for the EU digital identity. So that's a good thing. And we'll talk more about that at some point. So basically the solutions, they came up, with three major parameters that needs to, that every good solution should have. One is put in terms of privacy and security, put control in the hands of the users. This is what the EU is talking about. This is what the Singapore and Catalonia and all of that they are talking about. And this is what the solution is all about. Is because, for example, in Estonia, if they have, if let's say, even if you have a medical record and someone wants to, check and use that, you can verify who is using it and check whether you are allowing anyone to use this information. So now basically you have no control. No one is even telling you what they, checking. But that's kind of the way, that you look at that. So this is one very important part, because people are always concerned about privacy and security and all the hacks, etc. And just what digital identity, which we're going to talk probably next time, is all about. And another thing is ease of use. And ease of use and accessibility is very, very important, because there's, if you look, there's kind of like the good use, the successful use case and the unsuccessful use case. So that as some of the unsuccessful use case, Germany in fact started, the digital identity type of solution about a decade ago, but almost, maybe only 10%, even though everyone has the digital ID, only maybe 10% of the populations are using it. Why? They came to realize that it was so cumbersome to use it. It's so cumbersome, to get on board with this platform, that people said, you know what, forget about it. I'm not going to use it. Now that's the unsuccessful use case. So they realize even though you have a solution, no one is using it. Singapore, on the other hand, they have a rating. They always check, making sure that it's on the app, and they also created centers for citizens to come, and they kind of educating them and explaining them how to get on board. And the rates, like when you go to whether it's the Google app or the Apple app, it's like almost 5. So it's really up there, this is so accessibility, and this is why millions of people in Singapore are using it, and also businesses and everything. So the likelihood of that being used widely is, it's not only has to be a good solution, the privacy and everything else, but it also has to be something that, this is why, you probably, because we are in the same environment, people are saying, oh, part of the problem with the adoption of the application of blockchain is basically the user interface. It's, people just don't know how to, it's very cumbersome, how I'm going to use it. So when something is not easy to use, you don't use it, even if it could be like the best thing ever. It has to be simple. It has to be like click, 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 like any other app. And before we had this click, click, click with the blockchain apps, we're going to talk at a different time. So that's, that's another issue, that we need something like that. And the third one is the trust issue. The trust issue is meaning that we need everything to be in one place. So all this government information that goes everywhere has to be in one place. This is a very challenging. So even Singapore is a successful story, still having a challenge with figuring out how all this data from all these government organizations that you have in this department and that department, let's say you have in taxation, and you have in the health, and you have, in all over the place, and everyone has their own information about you, and how can you trust that it's all, there's no miscommunication and no misinformation, and it's recorded in all places in the same place. And the solution for Singapore, that don't use the central identity, which I believe that the decentralized identity is able to maybe will be one of the solutions to fix this kind of challenge, to overcome this kind of challenge, because if everything is on the blockchain, this is one place where everyone can access it. And it's not like, in all kinds of now being placed in different, departments, and the whole idea of decentralized is that you may have all this information in your one wallet, and you get a certificate, so to speak, from each and every department for this information. So, and that's something that we can talk about at some other time more specifically, but that might be the solution for that. But now it's a challenge in places where they don't use the decentralized, but they're trying to use other ways to do that. So these are the 3 main important drivers that these organizations came up with in their survey and this research. What a good solution should have, and that's what we should strive for.
So I really appreciate you're doing such a deep dive into the digital identity, and also looking at it from the blockchain perspective. For those who are listening who might not be thinking that they're going to be doing anything on the blockchain, one of the things that I just want to mention is that as the internet developed, as the different layers of the web developed, from, just accessing, through an email, and then a website, and then a social media platform, and now the blockchain, this is like, it's been an evolution. So our identity online has also needs to evolve as well. So for everyone who is thinking that they don't need to think about this, I would say you do, especially if not for you, for your children, for those
Mhm.
that are around you, because it's going to be very important to protect your privacy and information. I know that just having conversations near my computer, then I end up having things pop up related to the topics that I've been talking about. So, we have very sensitive instruments that are within our homes. We have smart homes that are being developed where we talk to, I'm not going to say her name because she might start talking on my computer, but we have various interfaces. And as a result of
Mhm.
those interfaces, and we have cameras. We no longer have the same privacy that we did before we had access to online. That's not to say it's bad. It just means that we have to think about protections, whether it's a virtual, VPN or some other way to protect. So, for everyone who's listening, think about what you're doing and what you're not doing. And
Exactly.
and just make one simple change in your daily life to think about how can you protect yourself. Because
Mhm.
again, if we make one change, you know, and then another change, then it doesn't seem as drastic as if we have to change everything all at once. Um, do you have any last minute thoughts? Because I know we're
I
gonna
mean, yes. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm going to be a little bit, take people to the edge a little bit.
okay.
I like, to create like a drama so people can kind of get to the head. I mean, think about it this way. I mean, when you talked about, think about your children, right? Think about it, nowadays we we all want to protect our babies, our kids, So even if we go away and we leave them with a babysitter, we have all these cameras, and you have probably Alexa and some other, that are listening, and all these conversations. Just think about it this way: you're thinking about the usage of these cameras and digital, and you can check it from your phone, you can check, whatever's happening in your home, and listen, to Alexa, and check all these cameras, from your phone. And this is great. This is fabulous, because all what you think about, I'm protecting my kids because, I'm watching them and I'm making sure that everything's okay. But what you forget that all this information is in the hand of all of these, companies, and can be hacked and can be used not just against you, but against your kids. You're watching it, but somebody else is also watching it at the same time, and it's not you, and they're not even telling you about that. And what if it can be hacked because you're putting the security of your kids in the hands of these companies, that they're going to do the right thing by you in terms of cybersecurity, that it's not going to be hacked by criminals, in terms of not being this misusing of all kinds of other, advertising or whatever. I mean, they can take this picture and use for advertising, and without your permission, because you said yes, 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 these terms and conditions, that that you're okay with that, and they can do whatever they want with that. So think about that. I know that I'm probably creating like a story that maybe comes from some horror movie, but that thing can happen, and we have to think about it.
I agree. I think, again, we can definitely trust, but we also have to be prepared,
Mm-hmm.
and prevention is always much better than trying to fix things after the fact.
Exactly.
And I know that that's going to lead us into many of our conversations about artificial intelligence, which we're going to have in our upcoming episodes. So again, everyone, I definitely want to more than suggest, I would like to ask that you definitely hit subscribe. I can definitely, I'm talking about digital ID. I can see when you subscribe. So, again, it's the idea that everything is trackable. So I might not actually see, how to contact you, but we do see the analytics these days. So,
Right.
everything is so interconnected. Um, but anyway, for those that are on my feed and for those that are hearing this, Dr. Blockchain's information will definitely be embedded below, along with mine, CryptoMom2.com. And pretty soon there's going to be another project that I'll be sharing information with, so that way you can also get additional information to protect yourself. But for the moment, as I always say at the end of all my shows, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We are very interconnected. We're all part of one world. And these days, we don't even know how much so that is. So with
It's
that,
more so than when you think.
yeah, exactly. So with that, we're going to sign off, and everyone have a great day. I look forward to hearing, any questions that you might have. Definitely reach out. I love, the engagement that we're getting, and thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.